Welcome to the next in our series as APEX Communications demonstrates yet another solution, the APEX ACD, for automated call distribution in call and contact centers. APEX provides a service delivery platform built around the Omnivox 3D application server and various telephony and communication components, with the primary focus on SIP application feature servers, customer care solutions, and value-added services. APEX multi-service delivery platforms are used for thousands of services around the world. APEX's Access product line helps turn mobile operators into providers of cloud-centric solutions for enterprise customers and with all the core services that every enterprise needs and expects. Today, we will again join Danny as he demonstrates a popular component of Access, the APEX ACD, which can be offered as a standalone product or as a component in the Access suite of solutions. The APEX ACD is a multi-tenant solution, which can be shared by many enterprise customers when hosted by a network service provider or mobile network. A perfect fit for an IMS network, the demonstration of the APEX ACD will focus on the web pages and database managing the ACD. The APEX ACD is an omnichannel, multimodal solution which can serve multiple enterprises or tenants. Like all APEX solutions, the APEX ACD offers both high-level web management and low-level application development with OmniView, APEX's award-winning service creation environment. Of course, the APEX ACD offers a complete call center agent interface with a built-in SIP phone and agent management tools, from which the agent can receive information about the caller and into which the agent can input information about the call. The APEX ACD dashboards allow call center managers to manage all of the activity and the records of the call and the call center experience. During today's demonstration, Danny will cover the initial steps of configuring the APEX ACD. This includes managing agents, groups, and queues. And he will explain how these agents, groups, and queues correlate to each other within the APEX ACD framework. He will also give detailed explanations for the parameters in the provisioning page. Let's watch now and listen as Danny gets started with his demonstration.
Okay, here as I share my screen, I will be showing you how to manage agents, groups, and queues of the APEX ACD. So I'm going to be logging in here as the administrator to a particular tenancy. Our ACD is multi-tenant, so in this case, trainer would be the administrator of this particular tenancy. As I log in, and just like when I'm going to do any other task, I will be greeted with the welcome screen. But to manage the agents, under the agent tab here, we'll see agents, then we will move on to the different groups, and then under service dialogues, we're going to concentrate on queuing strategies. And the way this all comes together is an agent, of course, belongs to a group, and a group then belongs to a queue, and then a queue is being referenced from the actual call. So when the call is being made into the APEX application server, we defined, based on information that we might have gathered from the caller, what queue he belongs to, and that's how the subscriber is then linked back up to a particular agent. So if I click on agents here, it'll give me the list of the agents that have already been provisioned on this particular system. I will click on the little icon here, and that opens up the properties page for that particular agent. The information displayed here is going to be the agent's name, and this could be the agent's name or in this case, a class agent or an alias that the agent uses to log on. The next thing that you will see is the time zone. Because this is a cloud-based ACD, the agent can reside in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. So based on where he is located, we can specify the particular time zone that he or she is in. And that is used for reporting purposes. So if you generate a report, or if you want to run a dashboard based on the information of this particular agent, it will display information for that agent in the time zone that he belongs to. The next thing, of course, is the phone number. And this can be a phone number with it itself, or in this case, we're using the same as the full name here, which is Class Agent 10. So when the call is routed to this agent, that's what we would dial, Class Agent 10. Now, the next thing here that we see is also the emergency services location. And this comes into play, as I was saying earlier, this is a cloud-based ACD. So this agent could be based out of San Francisco, and if he or she decides that they need to dial 911, we need to make sure that the 911 that they are calling is a local-based 911. So you specify where that location is, and then that gets tied back into, say, some type of gateway where when we make that outbound call, we're calling the 911 services in that agent's particular area. So that's why you have there the ability of choosing what location they are in. Since our ACD also provides the ability of answering petitions through email, we've specified an email address here. And then this is something that the administrator can also do, and it's recording X call. And here you'll notice that it's set to 1. So what that means is that I am able to record every call that comes into this particular agent, and I can change this depending on my need. I can put every 3rd call, every 4th call, every 5th call, and as calls are coming into this particular agent, those would be recorded. That would only be for this agent, just to clarify. It's not going to be everyone. If I do need to record everybody's call, I can set that up via a queue. And on the queue level, I can then record every X number of call as well, and that's independent of the agent. So this is more maybe for customer service, quality control, or again, customer service. We also have the option of allowing the agent to answer the call, him or herself, or have it automatically answered. So as it arrives, we would automatically answer the call, and the agent would pretty much say, hello, thank you for calling XYZ. So that's why you have this auto answer checkbox here. So it's very important, but at the same time, it provides that flexibility of allowing the agent to either answer the call, him or herself, or have the system automatically send back the answer, and the agent is ready to go once the call arrives. The agent can also be enabled or disabled. So if he or she has been terminated or is out, we can disable that agent, and in this case, we can also reset the password. The agent will be able to set his or her password directly from our own agent screen. But I, as the administrator, if that person is either again no longer with the company, or I need to reset that particular password, I can come in here, enable the checkbox, and then I can reset that password for that particular agent. We have, the simplicity of deleting that agent, adding the agent to a group, and then, any changes that I would make, I can click on my button here, and then that would update the information that I've modified. On the lower part of the screen, we're going to see the groups that this agent is assigned to. So as we see here, he's assigned to 5 different groups, and it'll give us the status of that particular agent for that particular group. Another thing is at the very middle here, you'll see the current status of that agent. So we see that the current status of this agent has been logged out. He is part of 5 groups, and the priority that he has as part of that group. When we move on to groups, you'll see how a particular agent can have a priority within a group. So based on maybe the caller will have a priority for that group, or how it moves within the queue. Same with the agent. The agent might have a higher priority answer calls for one particular group than he does for another group. Another thing that the agent's going to have is the ability of adding or subtracting himself from a particular group, and that's where that agent control comes from. So as I add him into a particular group, he can, once he's enabled, he can disable himself or remove himself for that particular group. So depending on call traffic, the ACD administrator might call for that particular agent to add himself to a group, so he can take calls that might have a higher call volume than another. So from there we can click on Add Group, and this is just a table that allows us to see what available groups are there. And I select the group and then enable it, or if I can come down here, I can select the group and disable that group. Another thing that I can do is, as I choose the different groups that that agent belongs to, I can set that priority for the agent, as we saw in the previous screen. So here we see that this particular agent belongs to these 5 different groups, but for class level 1, he has a priority of 5. So it's not his highest priority to answer calls for that particular group. And then here is the radio button, where I can allow that agent to control opting in or opting out of the group. And that is set on a group level. And again, the tenant administrator of this ACD can change that particular parameter. And then the last one we see here, which is initially enabled, all that means is it allows us to, when the agent logs in, so he comes in every morning, or she comes in the morning and logs in, she is either initially enabled onto that group, where as soon as she logs on, she'll be taking calls from that particular group or groups, or at a later time, she can add herself into that group, and that's where that controllable by agent comes into play. If we move on to skill groups, all we're doing here is we have a list of groups, which kind of the same that we saw in the previous screen. These are just groups that have been created, and the administrator will have the ability of creating as many groups as are required. And then each group has a small properties window that only allows us to basically specify what the cleanup time is, and that cleanup time is once the agent hangs up on the subscriber, they have a certain amount of time before the next call arrives. So in this time, we have a 1-second time cleanup that allows the agent to finish up what they're doing, and then the next call would arrive. And at the very bottom here is just a summary of how many agents have assigned to that group, how many agents are enabled, or how many agents are active, meaning are logged on, and the status of this group, which is, again, the status is enabled. So just to repeat a little bit and take 5-10 second review, is agents are assigned to groups, and the groups simply allow us to specify specific parameters, which is the controllable or initially enabled, and then the cleanup time in this case for that group. Once the group is defined, and we can look at again a little bit of what we saw before, but just in a different method, is now we're looking at the group, and instead of listing the groups here, now we're listing the agents. So now I see the list of available agents, and then what agents have been assigned to this particular group. And again, the priority, and if is it controlled or are they initially enabled. It's really kind of what we saw on the screen before, but now I'm doing it at the group level. So now I can choose that agent and change parameters for that agent. I can see what agents have been assigned to that particular group, and it looks like it could be the same information, but it's displaying it to me. Just now it's agents instead of the actual groups. So once I've defined my agents and I've defined my groups, I move on to queues. And queues under service dialog, we have what are called queuing strategies. And a queuing strategy is assigned to a dialog. And a dialog is we're going to analyze data based on the call coming in, maybe information obtained from the caller, and take decisions. And once a decision is met, then we invoke the queuing strategy. And the queuing strategy in this case, if we concentrate, for example, on the class queue, it's going to provide us with a little more set of parameters, a description, projected answer time. So we have both dashboards that are part of the ACD and reporting that's part of the ACD that is going to reflect what my level of service is based on the project answer time. I have here the ability to define a group from 1, 2, and 3 as the initial groups that are assigned to this queue. But if group 1, 2, and 3 does not answer the call, there's going to be a timer here in overflow in seconds. So if this timer is exceeded, then we would add groups 4, 5, and 6. So what this allows us to do is we add more people or more agents to answer this phone call. So in our case here is if the call wouldn't have been answered by class level 1 in the first 20 seconds, then the class level 2 group would be added, so there would be a higher chance of the caller being taken care of at a quicker time. If this is exceeded and we don't have an agent available as well on an overflow group, there's a max queue time. In that max queue time, if that is exceeded, we can then decide at the call flow level what we're going to do with the call. And that right now is set to 5,000, and that's also in seconds. So if the call is not answered in that amount of time, then there can be a decision made based on that parameter. As I stated earlier, we have the ability of recording X call. In this case, we're going to be recording X call within a particular queue. So we're leaving the agent. Now we're using it as a queue. And this is, when we all call into different call centers, we might hear a message that says, this call might be recorded for quality purposes. So as it's being recorded for quality purposes, this is where I would be able to enable that, and I can choose if I want to do every call. Of course, I can set that back to 1. If I want to do every 5th call, I simply set that to 5. Hit my change button, and then automatically will update, and we'll know that for every 5th call, the call will then be recorded. Also, part of the queuing strategy comes our music on hold, and our music on hold can be done in various ways. It could just reproduce a message and say, please hold while we wait, or you wait while we grab an agent for you. We can play music off of a radio station. There's different methods of tying into different feeds to reproduce this music on hold. One uniqueness here, and it can be used or not depending on where we're deploying this, is the ability of having the same music on hold follow the call. So if the call is being transferred to a totally different group or a totally different queue, we maintain the music on hold ID, and that allows us to keep it where you're going to be playing one single music on hold message. So this would be music on hold. And then another thing that we have is our survey tactic. And our survey tactic is used to specify particular questions out to the caller. So as the caller comes in, we can play a prompt that says, at the end of this call, would you like to participate in a survey for, quality of service? And or the agent can also ask if they want to participate in a survey. The first one is this kind of a stealth mode, so the caller, or I should say the agent, will never know that the caller had opted in for a survey. But basically here you have the ability of choosing what the survey tactic would be, and you can choose the different questions that are being made, and that's going to be a part of a different video, and that'll be posted, and you guys can see that as well. So to summarize here at the very bottom, we then have, again, the agents that have been assigned to this particular queue, the agents that are available, the rollover agents that have been assigned, in this case, to group number 4, the agents that are available, and then the status. So that's what I have for today on these 3 topics of the APEX ACD.
We hope you have enjoyed and benefited from this demonstration of the APEX ACD. We hope that you choose APEX for your application server, customer care, or value-added service needs. Please contact Apex Sales today to get more information and get started. We look forward to working with you and developing solutions customized to fit your needs.